I'm Joy. I'm currently a rising junior at Wellesley. Today, I'm going to be talking about debunking, discussing some things that a lot of people say about Wellesley, and I feel like they kind of give off a false image of what Wellesley is really like. And, these are all just my opinions, so if you disagree with me, that's totally cool anyways, but I'm going to be very opinionated in this video just because of my personal experiences, and I feel like there's just some weird stories going around. Before we actually start, I just want to clarify that Wellesley is a historically women's college. It's not a women's college, not a girls' college, not only for girls. There's trans students, there's non-binary students, and I feel like they're often left out of these conversations. Not that this is a groundbreaking conversation, but I feel like it's gonna come up in some of the things that I talk about, especially because a lot of the comments made about Wellesley are about being a woman and trying to date a cishet man, so just gonna get that out of the way. So the first statement that I think is completely untrue, is the fact that people say that there's no social life at Wellesley. I've had some interesting experiences at Wellesley, but I wouldn't say social life is one of the things that made me have a bad time here. First of all, social events are still valid even if cishet men aren't there. I feel like a lot of people make comments about how there's no social life and all they're referring to is frat parties off campus. There is more to social life than just literally partying with Harvard and MIT dudes. There's, the steps. There's orgs throw parties, and they're kind of dry because they're in on-campus locations, but if you pregame, they're still really fun. We have remix, athletic teams. There's a lot of socialization there. The people you hang out with, there's literally no way you can say that there's no social life at Wellesley. There's college government, there's HOCO, there's all of these things where people are always together. So I think just keep in mind that social life doesn't equate to hanging out with men. And that's a good lesson if you are a first year, because I went through a period of my life during first year where I was LOL, I want to hang out with dudes, I miss my chill dude friends, and it took me a while to realize, hey, you don't really want to hang out with dude friends. It's the internalized misogyny in you that really wants you to have some male attention and feel cool. Learn to get over that, and maybe you'll have a much better social life. I'm not saying that all friendships with guys are invalid, but I think one of the biggest lessons I had to learn is categorizing friendships into friendship with girls and friendship with guys. It makes you feel like you can only seek certain kinds of things out of friendship with certain types of people, which is just really ridiculous and very binary. Male friendships can be great, but you don't need to come to Wellesley trying to find ways to fill those voids before you even make your friends on campus. You don't have to be looking off campus to try and get these different types of relationships, because you'll probably be making a lot of really fulfilling ones here anyways. The second assumption is that everyone is gay or everyone at Wellesley becomes gay. Yeah, there are a lot of gay people at Wellesley, and there are a lot of people who discover that they are gay at Wellesley or have already discovered it, but college is a place where they can kind of solidify their identity. Obviously, not everyone is gay. I know a lot of straight people at Wellesley. I feel like a lot of people who have tried to address this question have made it come off to sound like straight people are very oppressed at Wellesley. First of all, nobody is requiring you to be gay. Nobody expects you to be gay. College is just a period of time where people are learning more about themselves. So a lot of people are able to figure out a lot about their sexuality, their gender, their identity. Another question to ask, why do you think there are so many people who are out and comfortable with who they are? And that says a lot about Wellesley's community. If you want to date a cishet man, you'll probably have to go off of campus. It's nothing to make into a big deal, this idea that you have to work really hard to find a boyfriend. If you want to go on dates and find men from other schools and prioritize that, that's fine. But to act as if being straight at Wellesley is such a struggle is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. I feel like people think that people come here with some kind of lesbian agenda to be surrounded by women all the time. And listen, most of us just come here for our education, and if we're attracted to women at the same time, time, what do you expect? I don't think the fact that there are openly gay people on campus, or the fact that many people discover who they are in college, should make you think any certain way about Wellesley. And if going to school with people who are openly gay isn't something you want to do, then maybe not the best place for you, to be honest. The third statement is that it's hard to date. If you're cool with dating people on campus, very, 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 very easy, I would assume. Because I've never dated anyone on campus, but it seems quite easy because you're literally on the same campus, and Wellesley's campus is not huge. If you're into cishet men, might be a little harder. I know a lot of people who have found boyfriends on dating apps, at parties. If you really want a boyfriend and you're willing to go out on dates every weekend and go into Boston and like deal with first date awkwardness, like it's possible. A lot of people do it. If that's not your priority, then don't worry about it. I find it really interesting that people like to ask a lot of questions about dating and sexuality and all these things about Wellesley, but like if it was a normal co-ed school, nobody would really be asking these questions. I guess a lot of parents are worried about not having their daughter find a rich Harvard boyfriend, but okay, the fourth assumption is that Wellesley students only date Harvard and MIT people. Very, very false. Lots of stereotypes say that MIT people love to date Wellesley girls because we're dumber than them. Take with that what you will. There's lots of like Wellesley and Harvard/MIT student couples who are like married now. It's just kind of a thing, but a lot of people date people from like BU, BC, Olin, Babson. You're not limited to 2 schools. And I know some people have said like people were judging them when they dated people who went to schools that weren't Harvard and MIT, and that's just the classism. You have lots of options for different schools. The next assumption statement is just that like we ride a Harvard fuck truck. Wellesley's location is not the best, but I think in comparison to some other schools around it, like listen, Tufts is in Somerville, okay? BC is all the way at the end of the frickin' Green Line. Sure, we have to take a bus, but at least we have a bus. We're literally not Williams, Amherst, UMass Amherst, Smith. Like we have it pretty good. So basically the bus that we take used to be called the Peter. I feel like it's called the Loco more often now. I think during the weekdays it mostly goes to like MIT for people who are cross-registered, and then on the weekends it goes to Harvard Square. This could be completely false. They could go to Harvard during the weekdays. I just don't really remember. The reason why it's called the Harvard fuck truck is because people will take the bus to go to Harvard, to go to parties, which is interesting because Harvard doesn't party as hard as MIT. Anyways, it's really funny because most of the times that I take the bus, I'm just going into Boston to get food. It's funny because there's always a time on the bus at like 10-ish p.m. or like maybe a little earlier. It's like usually if you're planning a night out, let's say you go out to get dinner first, as you're going into Boston, the people who are like coming back from MIT who are like cross-registered are like normally taking the bus back, and it's like 2 worlds collide, like the partiers and the non-partiers. It's just a bus. We just take it to go to Boston. People probably have fucked Harvard students and then taken the bus. Honestly, we're just trying to get into the city most of the time. The next one is that everyone at Wellesley is liberal and very open-minded. And while I would say that like most of the people that I know are liberal, I also know a couple interesting people with some conservative mindsets. Wellesley is home to many TERFs. Also, Wellesley College Republicans. Fun fact, Hillary Clinton was president of Wellesley College Republicans when she went here. There's a big scandal when they bought Chick-fil-A, and then there's another scandal when somebody tried to start a Wellesley pro-life organization. Conservative minds, they do exist here, but I would say because of the culture that Wellesley has, if people are not very liberal, they typically won't express those feelings out loud unless you get really close to them. I feel like people at Wellesley are very good at doing the like surface level of like political engagement, reposting stories and like blah blah blah, which is fine, but there's just a lot of nuances with the way Wellesley students interact with politics and how that reflects with their relationships. All in all, like mostly liberal, but there's like 2 very extreme ends, and like people exist on both of them. The last one I'm gonna say is that people think that people at Wellesley only care about academics. While I think this can be true for some people, I think most of the people I know have some fun. I'm sure you hear people say like, Wellesley isn't easy a lot, but honestly in my 2 years I've had an okay time. Yeah, I do care about my academics a lot, but I also like won't kill myself over my grades. I don't think you should be that intimidated about academics coming in. There's a lot of support, there's a lot of ways to get help, there's also lots of ways to relax and have fun. I hope that kind of clears up some of the things that people have been saying about Wellesley. Like, this is not like trying to attack anybody, these are just things that I hear because they come up a lot, and these are just my takes. Sharing my opinion on the internet, kind of scary. If you have any other suggestions of what you'd like to see or questions you'd like answered, you can leave them down below. Check out any of my other videos if you need more advice about Wellesley. See you in the next one. Bye.